here's my thing. I know the brother mentioned about going out to the polls and voting. Again, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. Black people are not the majority in any state in this country. In no state are black people the majority. So even if all black people would have came out to vote, it would have still been a very difficult job to make a state legislature predominantly black in any country, in any state in this country. The only elections that black people are really able to control and influence the outcome are municipal, those in the cities and in the towns, those types of elections. State elections and federal elections, it is almost impossible for black people to influence the outcome, especially if you want to talk about putting a black person in office. Not that I favor that anyway, because most black people who go to office, they're not accountable to the people who sent them there. I think in terms of the brother stating that the stand your ground law, he doesn't have a problem with that. He has a problem with the application. But I would have to argue there's no difference between the law itself and its application. These laws are created for white people, by white people, and in the interest of white people. When they draft the law, they already have in mind how the law is going to be applied. So I'm not sure how we can say we don't have a problem with the law, but we have a problem with the application when the law was designed with the application in mind. So if the law is being used in a certain way against black people, then obvious it was designed to be used that way. I don't see a separation between the law and the application, because the law is only as good as the application. And if you have a stand your ground law being created by white racist state legislatures, how and in what way could that law ever be of any benefit to black people?
Well, I'll respond to that. I disagree with you on black people not being able to influence elections, because white people are not all voting together as a block. You got your liberals,
they don't have
your
to.
conservatives.
They don't have to. We are not a minority.
Then you have.
We are not the majority in any state. The majority wins the election.
We don't have to be the majority, sir. We do not have to be the majority. All we have to do is stand together as a voting bloc, like many of the other ethnic groups do. So I disagree with you there, but I do agree with you on the, especially the local elections, like your sheriff, like your county DA, like your county judges. But that is where the law is being misapplied, is at the municipal level. When we look at the
criminal laws are made on the state level. They're not made on municipal. Criminal laws are made on the state level. And even if you stand together as a block, you're talking about getting – hold on, let me finish now, and please don't dominate the interview. I believe I'm the one being interviewed here today, not you. But you're not – if you're talking about you're going to get all the black people together from every county in a particular state to stand together to bring about a particular change, what particular strategy are you going to use to do that? You're talking about getting all the black people in a particular state to stand together on a particular issue? How are you going to do that? I want to see how that's going to get done. You have a difficult enough time organizing black people in a city. You're talking about an entire state. I take Pennsylvania, 67 counties, black people are 10%, and you're going to get all them to come together and vote in a specific way. You can't even do that in a city, more or less an entire state. I just think you have too much faith in the law. And my position is that we can bring about change through our own organization. Electoral politics serves a small function within the overall framework of black progress. I do not think we should be looking at it as the be-all, end-all, nor is it the primary medium of black progress. You talked about how we swept President Obama into office. We didn't sweep anybody into office. The President of the United States is chosen by the Electoral College. The people have never chosen a president in American history, nor will they ever. And if you look at the popular vote between McCain and Obama, you'll see that McCain only beat Obama by 3 million votes. That is the size of a small state. That is the only edge he had in the popular election. Obama won by a landslide in the Electoral College. So again, I differ. Black people did not sweep Obama into office. Not that that was anything positive anyway, but it was the Electoral College that swept Obama into office and the previous 43 presidents. People do not choose presidents. They never have, and they never will.
Dr. Umar, I never said that black people swept Obama into office. I said they turned out to vote in record numbers. Obama was elected, and the Democrats were swept into Congress and the Senate as they control both houses. I never said that electoral politics is the end-all and be-all. I believe all options should be on the table. When you're talking about this racist, white supremacist system that we're fighting, we can't afford to leave any option unused. And, you know, I have to disagree with you again. With the stand your ground, yes, the legislators passed the law, but it is the county prosecutors, and even in Trayvon Martin's case, Norm Wolfinger, who was the state attorney for that district, made the decision to not charge George
And you
Zimmerman.
think he made that decision alone? I mean, you actually think the officials make those decisions alone? So what you're saying is that you believe that a black person will be able to kill a white person and invoke the stand your ground law as his defense? On what basis would you believe such a thing? You actually believe that the courts are that colorblind or that full of justice that a black person will be able to kill a white person and invoke the stand your ground law? You believe that?
Yeah, it did happen in the state of Georgia. Okay, in the state of Georgia, a black man was attacked by a disgruntled contractor who was working on his house. He went to the man's house without his permission. The black man's son calls his father, lets him know. He calls 911 and reported to the police, rushes home. Then this white man tries to attack him. He shoots him dead. The police rule it as self-defense. The neighbors even, gave their statements that, yeah, this white man was trying to attack him. He was defending himself. But then a bunch of racist white people decided to start a campaign to get this black man charged by writing the local prosecutor. And then a year later, after this man has been already granted immunity, this prosecutor decides to charge him. Again,
so you're making my point. You're making my point. You're making my point.
Okay. No, I'm
not. The man was given immunity, and the white folks still went and had him arrested a year later. That's my point. So again, how can you be for the stand your ground law when you know that the application is totally going to be to the benefit of whites and to the detriment of black people? That's all I'm saying. It just kind of seems as if you believe that the law itself can be colorblind. There's no such thing as a colorblind law in this country. Every law is written for the benefit of white supremacy. Every law. That's what laws stand for. LAWS, legal arm of white supremacy. You always get exceptions. There's always going to be an exception. And in terms of military science and in terms of controlling a group of people, you must have exceptions. There will always be an exception to every law. Why? To legitimize it even further. So white people can say, this is not totally for us. Here's a case over here where a black man killed a white and he got immunity. Here's a case over here where a black woman killed a white woman and she got immunity. There must be exceptions because the exceptions legitimize the law. They can then point and say we have exceptions where black people were not mistreated, which then does what? Earn the faith and confidence of all other black people, and instead of fighting to get rid of the damn law, we allow it to stay just because white people could point to a few examples of where we benefited. The exception does not invalidate the rule, and we have to understand that. There will always be exceptions. They will fabricate them. The exception does not invalidate the rule. It is only just what it is, an exception. I've never been to prison. I have 6 college degrees, okay? I am an exception, but I don't invalidate the rule. Most black men ain't got 6 degrees. Most of them have been to jail, or a significant number of them have. So I'm not going to allow anybody to use Umar Johnson, which is nothing but an exception, to try to invalidate the rule that there is a war against black men that is mass incarcerating us by the millions. Exceptions do not invalidate rules. There must always be exceptions in order to legitimize the system.